Gibson, I think, is next.
Procedural issue. Just obviously we're running behind time and we probably do need a break at some point.
We've got just 2 more for lunch.
Are we able to get the people that are coming in after lunch, just notify them that we may be going slightly late?
The first one's cancelled, so
okay.
The first one's due in at 1:10, so if perhaps, I mean, they're probably on their way already. She's already here, so...
There's already someone else here too for after lunch.
Okay, so, but we have a lunch break scheduled, so we've got 2 more submissions to go and then we'll break for lunch. Mark.
Thank you. I wasn't sure when to hand out copies. I've got a copy of what I'm saying here, so I'll just put it there. Really impressed with the speakers before me. Mayor Leanne, Deputy Mayor Vicky, councillors, staff and fellow citizens. Thank you for the opportunity to give this brief oral submission to the LTP. I have a variety of ministry roles in East Christchurch as part-time coordinating minister, New Brighton Union Church, and in a strategic role with the Methodist Synod across the East with a number of parishes. I live and breathe what is going on in the East on the ground every day in communities, New Brighton, Naranui, Linwood, Wainoni, and I'm actively involved in a number of community networks. It is from this experience and perspective that I speak to you today. My written submission addressed a bunch of specific issues relevant to the LTP, but it is on the macro level that I want to make a few brief additional comments. These come in the form of a challenge to you as the elected civic leaders of this city. The regional body of my church made a brave and far-sighted strategic decision in 2013 to make the East a key priority for the next 5 years. This was based on an awareness that the East had been the most impacted by the earthquake sequence and is the lowest socio-economic region of the city. What this commitment has meant is that extra resources have been allocated in the East so that much needed developmental work can take place. I believe that Christchurch City Council needs to make a similar strategic decision as you finalise your long-term plan. We hear constantly about the anchor projects within the 4 avenues. I want to urge you to make the redevelopment of the East a further anchor project and strategic priority. A recent report by the OECD says that rising inequality within nations stunts economic growth and holds them back. It names 21 high-income countries that fall into this category, and New Zealand is one of them. Surely the same applies to cities. And if this is so, Christchurch is in danger of going down the same path if it allows the inequality between the East and other parts of the city to grow. Before the earthquakes, there was a large divide in the city. The earthquakes have deepened it, and so extraordinary measures need to be taken to reverse this trend. If the East is allowed to further languish, the city as a whole will struggle to achieve a full recovery. It will be held back and not achieve the vision of a vibrant future that we all have. On the other hand, extraordinary investment will lead to a resurgent East, and this will carry the city forward with it. There is a perception in the East that instead of directing more public resources there, both the council and government are doing the opposite and divesting from this side of the city. It is a common view in the communities and neighbourhoods across the region as people struggle with huge social and economic issues. You will have heard many anguished and passionate submissions from people of the East about these realities. The submissions from New Brighton residents with long lists of services and public assets that they want you to protect highlight the deep feeling and strongly held view that many public assets are under threat or going west. With this long-term plan, as a council, you have a wonderful opportunity to stop the rot east side. Yes, not all the answers can be provided by you, but you can resolve clearly and strategically to reverse the growing inequalities of this city by not only retaining council-owned assets in the east, but further boosting them and building back better. You can choose to create a lifeline for the east or set it further adrift. I would suggest that at the centre of this development strategy will be the natural environment. The potential is mind-boggling. The ocean, rivers, estuary and wetlands of the east are its comparative advantage. As our city leaders, you can play an extraordinary role in the redevelopment of the east, both for the amazing people and communities and for the natural environment there. And through such a strategic commitment, you will also be serving the greater good of this great city that we love. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Much appreciate you coming in. It's good to hear from you. We'll have to move on to the next submission. Thank you.